Can get Barry Switzer on the show, Hall of Fame coach, longtime incredible success at Oklahoma, Super Bowl winning coach with the Cowboys. And Barry, it was interesting. I texted you this morning just to make sure that this time would work. And where were you? You were at the dentist office, is that correct?
Yeah, I was, and I had a root canal. And I was worried about my gum being swollen up, and my lip and all that when they gave me the shots to numb it, whether I could talk or not. But I'm okay now. That was at 10 o'clock this morning, so I'm in great shape now.
And as I was texting you, I was in the dentist office getting one of those.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought that was quite a coincidence. Yeah.
Hey,
a root canal, huh?
What are your thoughts about the college football landscape and what we see with Oklahoma, Texas, now USC, UCLA? Just your overall thoughts on it.
Well, first of all, I'm glad I'm not coaching today. I'll just put that up front. I'm glad I'm not involved in this free agency world, in NIL, the portal, all this. I'm just so glad that I had my run in the 70s, 80s when you could go out and recruit, and the only one who could go in the home was the coach and his staff and talk to the family. There could be no agents or alumni or anyone like that going in there, which there are today. There's no restrictions today. They got agents walking in there telling the kid, you go to this school, I probably can get you more money if you went to this school instead of that school. Everything's involved in recruiting today. I mean, it's a wild, wild west. I thought I recruited in the wild, wild west when there's no restrictions, but this is even worse. And so I just say, I'm glad I'm not coaching. Now get back to your question.
Barry Switzer with us on 365 Sports. Are Oklahoma fans ready to change, or will they ever change their expectations based on what might and the success as one of the ultimate blue bloods in the SEC?
Well, they don't have to prove themselves, and that's what they've got to do. We've had teams that beat SEC. I've had during my career, and I have obviously we've beaten Alabama, we've beaten Tennessee, we've beaten of course Florida State. They're not in it, but they were a very good program out of the South in that area of the country. They can recruit well. The key is recruiting, and we're on the fringe areas. Players have got to come a long way from that. The great fertile recruiting grounds the SEC has, and we just it's a lot of good schools. They got to come over before they get to Norman, Oklahoma. So we're going to have to do extremely well recruiting in Texas and nationally. You take Nebraska and Kansas and all. You take the diversity population. We don't have any. Nebraska and Kansas have nothing, and so the Big 8 conference was different, and we made ourselves because if it wasn't for Texas, our recruitment of Texas, we couldn't have had the tradition in college football that Oklahoma has, because I won with Texas high school. There are a few kids in Oklahoma we got, and really good players, and really good, but there was very limited number we'd get. But we got most of our players from Texas, and that's where we benefited. We're close enough to. And I recruited Jack Mildren out of Abilene, Texas, to come to Oklahoma. I found out back in the 60s, late 60s, when I recruited Jack, that Norman, Oklahoma was closer to Abilene than Austin, Texas is, the University of Texas. That's what blows people away. But like Mildred come here, well, it's just as close or closer than it was to go to Texas. So it's a big state with a big population with a lot of great high school football players, and that's how Oklahoma had a great tradition in college football, because we got most of them back then, 70s and 80s.
Coach, what would frustrate you more about today's recruiting? Is it recruiting 17-year-old kids who want money before they've performed at the college level? Or would it be constantly having to re-recruit the players that you've already signed?
Well, it'd be both. But think about this, I used to go and recruit and get a player, and he knew he was going to be at my school for 4 or 5 years. He'd play freshman ball, red shirt, and play for 3 years. They all expected that, anticipated that, and they came to get an education. No one talks about getting an education anymore. These 85 kids that they signed today, I all think they're going to play pro football. and I promise you, there'll be about 3 or 4% of them ever making pro football. So it's the same my day, and it's the same today. And these kids today don't stay in school long enough to get a degree, and they're out of here. And in my day, it was obviously a kid knew he came for an education, and we provided the tools allowed him to be successful, and he was going to be here 4 or 5 years. But not today. It's the portal. He can be out there as a freshman and have the eligibility and be immediately able to play. My era, you transfer schools, you're going to lay out a year to establish eligibility, and then they play 2 years later, and after they leave. So that's the way it was, and we liked it that way back then, and it made people stay at one school, and they didn't anticipate playing right away. Then the freshmen became eligible, and there were certain players that could play as freshmen, but they knew why they were playing because they proved themselves on the field, and the other freshmen recognized it. But no one was getting cars, no one was getting vehicles and dollars and all that, and but it's a little different. I wish they'd give everyone just $5,000, $4,000 or $5,000 a month, everyone from all the 85 that you have on scholarship today, and NCAA had done that. And then if you prove yourself on the field, and you become a star or player or Heisman Trophy candidate, and you could go out and sell yourself or likeness or whatever they want to call it, other players wouldn't resent it because you've proven yourself in front of them. But they got something too. And I think that the game would be better if we had something like that, a minimum salary or money that was given to each player per diem, or whatever you want to call it.
Coach, it seems that the power dynamics have definitely flipped. You know, coaches were making these big contracts, and then after a while, it's like, well, why aren't we paying the players? Because of these, you know, and that probably.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. I look at it this way. I mean, my era, I coached at Oklahoma. We won my first 3 years out of a 3-year contract, and I coached here for $24,000 a year. We won 31-1-1. And we won 2 national championships back-to-back, 250 seasons. And I made $24,000 a year. I see these people asking for reparations. Hell, old football coaches already get reparations. That's the way I look at it. My God, they are these guys $8, $9, $10, $12,000, $12 million. What are you talking about? Yep, it's unbelievable. What we, I never made more than $100,000 a year coaching at Oklahoma. I made a lot more than that on my TV shows, and I did a bunch of them about radio shows. I got the talent fees from them. I made the job pretty good because of that, but I had to go do it myself. They didn't give it to me.
There was a time when you brought up Houston and the Big 12 looking at adding teams, and there was, I believe, a quote that you said it'd be a hell of a mistake if you brought them into the Big 12. Was that out of fear because of the city they're in, the talent base in Houston?
Not that, because we give them credibility to be in the Big 8 conference or increase it to Big 12 is because you give them credibility, and then they can recruit to be playing those type of teams and have a chance to go play for national championships. That's why I didn't want them in, and hell, it just. I want to recruit Houston. I want to get their players, but I don't want them to be able to be recruiting the same player that we could go be playing against me. And we were a step above them, and that's what it was all about. We had more to be able to offer them in playing here at our school, when they win championships.
Having said that, Houston, UCF, a new young school, Brigham Young, who's been basically a power or autonomy 5 type program, and Cincinnati, which of those 4 right now do you think is more prepared to compete for the Big 12 title?
Well, Cincinnati is always a mystery. They've had good teams. They've lit it up a lot of people before, and so you never know what they'll be. But Brigham Young, like you said, is a quality school. They can beat you, and they've won before big, and they've got a chance to. They got a chance to recruit to different territory areas than we do, and out of California and that area of the country. But They all don't come in as like SC goes to Big Ten. SC's going all the way from California. That makes a lot of sense. And they'll be like a pro team flying all over the damn from one coast to the other coast. That reminds me of pro football. Get back at 6 in the morning. It's a tough gig. But anyway, it's changed all today. It's we get down to basically maybe 4 conferences, and the rest of them all play against themselves in different little smaller leagues.
Coach, we had you on the show 3 years ago, and it still amazes me to this day. You were talking about the NFC Championship game against San Francisco, and you told us what went wrong almost down to the second. After that show, I went back and watched it online while I listened to you talk about it, and it was so fascinating to hear you and the way that even all these years later, you could tell it still bothered you how that all went down, and then the comeback you guys were almost able to mount. Do you have those moments, like sitting around in your quiet moments, where even today you'll be like, "Dadgummit, I still bugs me about this game or that game"?
Well, sure it does. Yeah, it's the ones you think about, the ones the losses. It's not the wins. It's the ones that, if you'd won, what the difference it would have made. Obviously, we came within one game. Winning one game, we win 2 Super Bowls. And we would have had 2 Super Bowls when I coached here. It came down to that one game. And Los Angeles, and Becky, I'll be out there in just a second. I'll wrap this up. I've got lawyers here wanting to talk to me. I'm suing State Farm because they won't put a roof in my house.
Oh, okay.
And this hailstorm, and I have the lawyers here right now. But anyway, hotel was a question we were talking about.
Oh, about you remembering the losses.
Oh, yeah. It's losing to San Francisco out there, and we were down 21-0 the first 5 minutes of the damn game. Damn defense had already been out there. 7 plays. Then we threw an interception. They ran back. We fumbled the next series. We fumbled the ball. They picked it up, and Merlin Hanks ran it in for a touchdown. And then we returned the kickoff and fumbled it. We had 3 straight fumbles in a row that they scored on. We gave them 21 points in the first 5 minutes of the game. And, horrible, boy, we played. Then we got back 21-14. And we fought back, scored 2 long drives, and hell, we got back in the ball game. But right before the half, I made a mistake that let Ernie Zampese, the offensive coordinator, talk me into going for it when I knew in my own gut, okay, run. I told him run him at 3 times and let's punt the football if we have to. There's about 1 minute and 20 seconds left in the half, and Ernie wanted to go for it. He talked me into it. We threw 3 incomplete passes. They had to punt, and they got the ball with 40 seconds. They hit Jerry Rice behind their cornerback on a fingertip, catching the end zone for a touchdown. I cussed myself all the way to the locker room. I was so pissed off when I went in that locker room. I had no one to blame but myself. I knew I should have said, run the damn football, like I said, and that would have ended that, and we wouldn't have. We'd been down only 21-14 at the half. It's a different ball game. Pro football, it damn sure is, calling the plays. Hey, I've got to get in there with these lawyers. I got to get them to pay my damn roof. Okay.
Hey, Barry, thank you, man. Good luck with the root canal.
All
and
right,
thanks for your time we gave us. Barry Switzer, Oklahoma football coach. And, yeah, hail damage.